A sudden surge in value hiding in plain sight can turn an ordinary pocket change into a small fortune. Think back to the quarters you spent on parking meters or arcade machines in the early 80s. Those unassuming pieces of copper nickel might be whispering overlooked stories of minting mishaps and collector gold. One specific date, 1982, has quietly produced some of the most fascinating varieties and error strikes that veteran collectors and casual holders alike have started uncovering. As we peel back the layers of production details, auction highlights, and condition quirks, you may find yourself rushing to inspect that pile of change on your desk. The story begins with a series introduced decades earlier, the Washington Quarter, first released in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. By 1982, the design had become as familiar as the president's profile itself, yet subtle shifts in the minting process created a handful of rare anomalies. Struck on a standard copper core clad by layers of nickel, these quarters rolled off presses at Philadelphia and Denver, delivering face value while quietly incubating error possibilities. High-speed presses and human oversight conspired to leave behind doubled dies, misalignments, and even missing mint marks, a striking contrast to the regimented production the U.S. Mint intended. At first glance, a 1982 Washington Quarter looks identical to the thousand that lined up beside it. Spotting the rare specimens demands a trained eye. The letters in Liberty may exhibit doubling along their edges, a telltale sign of a double die obverse. Some examples show an absence of the mint mark, a P or D, making them instantly intriguing to specialists. Off-center strikes reveal as incomplete rims, where the portrait drifts away from the perfect circle. Each of these features veers sharply from the mint's quality standards and instantly elevates the quest for unearthing value among what otherwise seems standard pocket change. Collectors covet double die errors above nearly all, and the 1982 Quarter has its standout examples. Look for crisp, parallel shadows on the date and motto. On high-grade pieces, these shadows extend noticeably from the original impressions, creating a ghosted version of letters that shouldn't exist. The most dramatic cases show doubling at over 40% of the letter surfaces. Those who first spotted these variants in circulation reported that the effect was subtle until examined under magnification, making the discovery all the more thrilling and rewarding when a previously overlooked quarter emerges from a jar of change. Off-center strikes tell a different tale. When metal blanks slip past feed mechanisms, the die meets less than the full planchet surface. The result? A portrait that drifts toward one edge, sometimes missing up to 20% of the design. These quarters can range from mildly off-center, worth $20 or $30, to wildly misaligned examples fetching hundreds. The more severe the shift, the more pronounced the rarity, and the more excitement among collectors who prize those dramatic eccentricities over uniform perfection. Beyond the doubled dies and off-center oddities, a handful of 1982 quarters emerged completely lacking any mint mark. Mint marks had become small letters stamped into the metal to indicate origin, but on a few occasions machine settings skipped that step. For most dates, missing mint marks in the clad era are startling, and on 1982 quarters they stand as one of the most sought-after variants. Only a few dozen graded examples are known, and condition across these varies. Some bear the soft abrasions of circulation, while a handful hover in near-flawless mint state. Turning to market figures, ordinary circulated 1982 quarters trade at face value up through $1 or $2, depending on where. Uncirculated examples, mint state 60 through 63, sell in the range of $3 to $7. When you hit MS65, you're looking at $10 to $15, with MS67 specimens nudging into the $30 bracket. The real premiums appear with error pieces. A modestly off-center quarter might command $50. Drive that misalignment past 15%, and you're talking $200 or more. Double die obverse often begin around $300 in lower grades and can soar to 4 digits when well preserved. A record-setting auction in 2023 saw a deeply double die 1982 D quarter in MS67 brought to the block, hammering down at $3,750. That sale shattered previous benchmarks and underscored just how much collector demand has swelled in recent years. A near-perfect no-mint mark specimen achieved nearly $2,200 a few months earlier, proving that even subtle omissions can spark a bidding frenzy. These headline grabbers outshine everyday strikes. Yet they also cast a spotlight on mid-grade curiosities that can be had for a fraction of those sums, making this series accessible to those sharpening their error hunting skills. Stories surround these finds. One veteran collector recalled dredging a handful of quarters from a hotel laundry change machine, only to discover a DDO among them. That single find launched a dedicated search through thousands of coins, fostering friendships at local coin shows and online forums. Another tale involves a retiree gifted a small collection by a family member, later realizing 3 of the 10 were off-center 1982s, enough to pay for a dream vacation. These narratives remind us that chance encounters with error coins can be life-changing, fueling the passion that keeps seasoned collectors scanning rolls long after casual interest wanes. Condition remains king when measuring value. Circulated error pieces can still sell handsomely, but each scratch or contact mark chips away at potential premiums. Mint State quarters graded MS-65 and above exhibit lustrous surfaces and sharp details, commanding top dollar, particularly for doubled dies. An off-center strike in MS-63 might be worth $150, but reach MS-65 and that same alignment error can double or triple in value. Collectors balance rarity with eye appeal, often preferring a mild misalignment in pristine condition over a dramatic shift marred by bag marks. Before moving on to the next chapter, take a moment to examine any 1982 quarters in your possession. Slip them under a loupe and look for those faint shadows, absent letters, or misaligned rims. Even a casual glance could reveal a hidden gem. When you're ready, get set to uncover the remarkable variations of the 1978 Washington quarter, where yet more surprises await among familiar faces. Sliding from the quirks of 1982, let's rewind to a quieter era marked by a subtler charm. The 1978 Washington quarter. You may not expect the same level of drama here, but beneath that familiar profile lie anomalies and stories that have quietly captured the eyes of seasoned collectors. Produced during a period of economic flux and heightened minting volume, the 1978 issue offers a surprisingly rich tapestry of varieties, some born from mechanical hiccups, others the result of deliberate adjustments in production. Minted at both Philadelphia and Denver, the 1978 quarters rolled out on the same copper-nickel clad planchets we've come to know, but subtle differences in die preparation and equipment calibration created a handful of noteworthy anomalies. The Philadelphia pieces bear no mint mark, while Denver's carry the small D beneath the wreath. Yet beyond that simple distinction, factors like die wear, hub doubling, and ploy cracks introduced levels of variation that can make a run-of-the-mill bag of coins feel like a treasure chest waiting to be pried open. A key variety for this date is the so-called doubled hub error on the reverse, where the wreath and lettering show faint echoes of earlier impressions. Unlike the more dramatic doubled dies of later decades, 1978's doubling often appears as soft halos around letters, a whisper rather than a shout. Here, the word quarter might sport a thin outline that gives the design an almost ethereal glow, visible under magnification to those who know where to look. These gentle ghosts rarely exceed 20% of the letter height, but for specialists, they represent a unique midpoint between circulation, wear, and high-tension error. Another eye-catcher lies in the off-center realm, where planchets sometimes shifted during striking by as much as 10%. These moderate offsets leave part of the eagle's wings brushing the rim, offering a subtle tilt that can fetch unexpectedly strong sums. Examples with just a few degrees of misalignment might sell for $25 to $40, while those drifting beyond 12% find bids creeping toward $100. It's a collectible sweet spot, errors noticeable enough to excite, but mild enough to retain much of the design's integrity. Perhaps the rarest category involves clipped planchets, stray blanks from feeder traps cut by circular presses before ever reaching the die. On 1978 quarters, these clips range from crescent-shaped flares in the rim to almost triangular bites that remove portions of the eagle's tail feathers. Though less publicized than off-centers, clipped specimens can command $150 or more, especially when the shape of the clip is unusually large or well-defined. In some cases, the uneven metal flow around the clip creates feathery striations that intrigue specialists, making each piece a visual puzzle. Beyond outright errors, collectors prize subtle die varieties. In 1978, P-quarters look for the double rim reverse, where the outer edge appears as two concentric lines. This arises when an early hub impression fails to seat completely before the die faces another hub strike, leaving an echo line just inside the primary rim, often requiring a jeweler's loupe to discern. These double rims make the ordinary suddenly exceptional, and even mid-grade coins graded MS63 can fetch $50 to $75 when this quiet anomaly is present. Turning to market dynamics, most circulated 1978 quarters trade at negligible premiums, usually between face value and around 50 cents apiece, reflecting their commonness in commerce. High ungraded mint state specimens surged that value to $5 or $6 in MS60, rising steadily through the scale. MS63 examples regularly sell for $15 to $20, while MS65 pieces command $50 or more, buoyed by crisp luster and sharp strike quality. For those chasing die varieties, premiums overlay these baselines. A clipped planchet in MS64 can eclipse a standard MS65 by hundreds of dollars. At auction, top-tier error examples have made headlines. In late 2024, a 1978 D-clipped planchet graded MS66 garnered $1,200 after spirited bidding, underscoring the market's appetite for condition plus oddity specimens. That same sale featured a 10% off center in MS67, hammering at $750, proof that even slight deviations can yield outsized returns in top grades. It's a reminder that condition and error severity dance together. Milder misalignments in pristine surfaces often outperform dramatic offsets in lower conditions. Interwoven with these values are stories that bring the coins to life. One collector, sifting through rolls purchased from a bank box, discovered a Philadelphia quarter lacking nearly 15% of its rim, what turned out to be a clipped planchet. After sending it to a grading service, he learned it was one of fewer than 20 clasps known in mint state, a revelation that transformed his weekend hobby into a serious pursuit. Another enthusiast recalls finding a double rim reverse under the glare of a desk lamp, an almost imperceptible feature that sparked months of research and led to trades with specialists worldwide. Condition nuances play a crucial role. Circulated error quarters, though still valuable, often reveal abrasions and bag marks that dampen their premiums. A softly clipped MS60 piece might command $100, but similar misalignments in MS64 can jump to $400 or more. Collectors paying six-figure sums for rarer issues still hem and haw over contact marks and luster breaks. Sharp rims, clean fields, and vibrant mint frost are the hallmarks of top-tier errors, just as in standard mint state collecting. In comparing Philadelphia to Denver output, D-mint errors tend to command slightly higher premiums, as Denver's production quirks seem more prone to planchet mishaps in that year. A mild off-center from Denver in MS66 can be worth twice its Philadelphia counterpart at the same grade. Yet for hub doubling and clipped planchets, the provenance matters less. Rarity and eye appeal drive the value, with bidders focused on the anomaly itself rather than its birthplace. As you inspect your change, remember that these coins live quietly in circulation, their anomalies subtle but potent in the hands of those who know where to look. A flash of doubled rim beneath fluorescent light, a clipped tail glinting from loose pocket change, or a slight shift in the eagle's left wing, all signal a deeper story waiting to be told. Before wrapping up, dust off that wooden nickel tray or roll tube and give your 1978 quarters a close look. You might stumble upon an understated error that transforms a dollar's worth of coins into a collectible with real heft. In the final moments, we'll draw together the threads of these two quarters, reflecting on how minor minting quirks and condition interplay to create immense collector fascination, and perhaps inspire you to tip a hat to the next coin that crosses your path.